Hi everybody, this is Kelsifer here, and this is something that I haven't really done on here before, even though I've thought about doing it many times with some past videos of mine. And it's more so just gonna be a voiceover of my process behind this. Alright, so you may remember sometime around 2021 I did an animation practice of Tails, but I was more just practicing on an idle animation. It was more so on a blinking animation, but I also decided to do his tails moving like it would in an idle animation. So there was that. But then sometime last week, I got an idea that I wanted to do another animation practice with Tails, but instead it would be with animating him flying. And there are quite a bit of different styles when it comes to him flying. Not really necessarily in the video games, but in a lot of cartoons that he's been in. So I'm just gonna kind of talk through kind of the process that I did with making these different styles of Tails flying, and I'll explain each one as I go in the process behind them. So I hope you all enjoy this, because I'm not using a script for this from here on out. So yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. I don't want to waste too much time. Okay. Alright, so the first one that I did was the OVA style. If you don't know what that is, the OVA was a 1999 animated movie. I don't know what OVA stands for, and I don't feel like looking it up right now, but you'll probably understand what I mean, and I'll probably have some clips to show a bit of it. The main clip or scene, whatever, that I used for reference was the scene where, how do I explain this? There's a clip showing of it right now, but it's right before the point where, Tails first gets scared of lightning and he says, "Ah! I'm afraid of lightning!" So, what I did with all of these styles, really, you'll see later on, is that, I kind of just studied the clip from, a slow playback speed, and I soon realized that, for the OVA style, there was really only 2 frames. So I just made 2 frames and put them on it took up 2 cells on the timeline. So I would say this was probably 12 frames per second, but don't quote me on that. I just made 2 circles. One of it was obviously the outside border, while the inside one was more for being able to keep the white stripes while still keeping it in the border and keeping that circular shape. So yeah, this one was fairly easy. So the next one that I wanted to do was the style from Rise of the Wisps. Now this one that I did at first was actually lined, and I was more so just kind of paying attention to the finer details. And I got it done, and I'm showing the animation for it right now, but as I look back on it, I'm this doesn't really feel like Rise of the Wisps. But this doesn't really feel the style. So you know what I ended up doing? I ended up literally just duplicating both the body and the Tails animation, and then just kind of recoloring the line art to fit the different colors and such. And I think it turned out really better than that, because I definitely paid attention to the color palette a lot more from the original footage. But yeah, I did like how this came out, especially I do like the line as well, because it's kind of more stylized, and it's you can look at it from either, if you stare at it, it looks like it's either going to the left or going to the right. That's really up to you to decide, and you know what, that's pretty convenient. Alright, so the next one that I did was in the style of Sonic X. But as I was going to look up the, a good reference, I soon realized something. Tails' style animation for flying apparently changes. At least from, 2 episodes that I'm aware of. The style that I decided to use here was from the baseball episode. Like the OVA one, this one was actually pretty simple as well. I can't remember how many frames I did for this. I think I did 6 frames, all of them 1 cell each. So this one was done in 24 frames per second. So the next one I did was This is the style in like 2 different TV series. This is for the Satam show and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And the reference that I decided to use, because I knew this episode and I actually have it on DVD with like 3 others, I decided to use the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the Sonic Says segments of Tails eating ice cream, like a whole freaking mountain of ice cream. I just decided to use that as a reference because it was a pretty good viewpoint at figuring out exactly how I was going to draw this, because if I'm correct, this was drawn traditionally. I'm pretty certain. I'm not for... I'm just going to say that it was drawn traditionally. So, drawing a traditional, like, flying animation thing on digital was a bit of a challenge for me. So I decided to just make it kind of like a sketchy thing, where, like, the sketch just kind of, like, repeats itself, the line art anyways. And then I just went on ahead and just added, like, some white, just animated the white, how I saw it in the original footage, along with, like, a few shoutouts, and just put a blur on it, and I was like, you know what? That pretty much looks like it. That pretty much looks like it. Definitely one that I did kind of struggle at, but I like the output. It was a nice challenge. And then the last one that I did was following the style from the video games, because obviously when there's 3D models, you can't have that little you can't be able to cut corners with the other animations that have been done. It's literally just like a 3D model. So I have to say that this one was probably the most difficult for me, because obviously I have to animate 2 foxtails flying, but I can't make them into a propeller like how it is in the video games. I'm more just kind of based this both from memory from seeing other clips of like the games. But the main clip that I used in reference was probably in Sonic Unleashed when Tails first appears. That was probably a good enough reference for me, and it's kind of funny as I was looking back and like seeing like a slowed down version of like the clip playing. I keep noticing that like the morphs on his tails keep on like clipping. It like looks like it's just like bones breaking. Do you understand? I mean, it's playing right now, but can you see it? Can you see it? I don't know. It just, I mean, I'm not much of a 3D modeler, but I have like done 3D models in the past, and I'm like, I don't think it's supposed to do that. But yeah, it's nice to have fun while animating, and I think this took maybe 6 or 8 cells for me to be able to do, and I do like how the output came out. I do like it somewhat. I'm probably not really happy with the way it like kind of clips, you know? I probably could have added some in-between frames to make it smoother, but I wasn't just gonna go back and do that, because I didn't really feel like it. So the reason why I wanted to do this is because, you know, I mean, it's like with my shot 275 of the Sonic Rejuice project that I was in. You guys saw that video. It's like I never got to animate Sonic running, and that was like the first time for me, and that was a lot of fun. So I figured, hey, I might as well try animating Tails flying, because you know what, that's a first time experience for me as well. And you know what, I had a lot of fun. I definitely had a lot of fun with this, especially learning with like the different animation styles and like the different medias and such. Yeah, if I had to, if I were to animate Tails flying again in the future, I probably would use the Rise of the Wisps lined, thing like how I did here, just because I think it looks better in my style. And that's pretty much the whole process behind this thing. So, for the animators out there who are in the Sonic community or not, what style would you animate Tails flying in? Would it be from one of the medias here like I did in the practices? Or would it be in a style of your own, perhaps? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, feel free to tell me about your thoughts about these practices as well. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to me ramble on and be able to talk about the process behind this. It was definitely a fun learning experience. I definitely had a lot of fun making these. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.